and welcome to today's webinar with Belararox. I'm Neil Warburton. I'm the Principal of Investability, and you're in for a treat today because we've got not only the Chairman and the Managing Director, but the Chief Technical Consultant of Belararox. So after a successful listing on the ASX on Friday, today the company announced that they have commenced exploration work at the Belara project. And in the same vein of not wasting any time, I'm going to jump straight in and hand you over to Non-Executive Chairman Neil Warburton to say a few words, and then following that we will have a presentation and open up to Q&A.
Thank you very much, Danica, and you're very much correct in the sense that we're very, very excited to have listed on Friday very successfully, and I thank all of the shareholders and everyone involved in that listing. It's been a lot of hard work, and it's very good to be on the boards and trading. Today, as everyone knows, we actually released our exploration update, what we're going to do initially for the first 3 months and then on the next 3 months after that. We have today with us the Managing Director, Arvind Misra, and Greg Partington, who is our Senior Technical Manager and Acting Exploration Manager. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Arvind. There's going to be a presentation on the screen very shortly put up, and Arvind will run through the first part of that, but more importantly, Greg's going to run through the technical issues, and then we'll open up for Q&A after that. So over to you, Arvind.
Thank you, Neil. Danica, if you can share the presentation for me. Look, thank you everyone for participation today in our first webinar after listing. And as Neil has pointed out, we successfully raised $5 million through the Christmas period. It has been good hard work by everybody, and we thank every new investors in the company, and we'll take you down the journey to what we're going to deliver for you guys in the next 3 to 6 months. As we have announced today, we are pretty much hitting the ground running, and we will have the work started this week. Just covering our investment highlights, the team is led by a company led by a proven board, management advisory team. We are mineral explorer focused on battery and renewable energy markets. We're targeting zinc, copper, gold, silver, nickel, lead, and resources. We got 2 projects, one in the east, one in the west. They're both drill ready. We have these projects are 100% owned by the company, so there are no royalties or any other deferred payments on them. And delivery of resources to Belara within 1 year of IPO, we're very confident, as we will show in our timeline of delivery of announcement, that we'll probably announce our first resource within 6 months. And very attractively priced. We have a very low EV of $4 million. So it's very good for the investors. There'll be a lot of upside. Next slide. Just introducing the team. Our chairman, Mr. Neil Warburton, well known in the industry, leading many other ASX listed companies and the new IPOs. I'm a mining engineer by trade. I came in this country about in 88, 34 years, worked for BHP, Rio, Mount Isa mines, and I have led other IPOs successfully opening up new base metal mines. Mr. Stokes is our geologist on the board with 35 years experience, several findings and successful listing of those findings on the stock exchange. Steve Lowe is a chartered accountant and very experienced, worked for the Creasy Group and established several joint ventures and successful business ventures with Mark Creasy. It's a very strong board, well diversified. And the management team, basically Dr. Greg Partington, very well decorated. Greg, he has found several geological significant deposits and has taken them all the way to successful listing. And it's great to have him, and he's really key to our management. Susan Park is experienced company secretary, and Danica, a very successful IR person for us. I'm grateful that I have got a very strong team with these people on the board. Just covering up the capital structure of the business, we raised the money at 20 cents. We have now 43 million shares on issue. Out of that, 25 were issued on IPO. Total cash of 5 million, including performance rights of 4.25 million. Our market capitalization on IPO price of 20 cents is about $8.6 million. On the right-hand side, you'll see a table of 20 shareholders. Importantly, note is that the shares are very tightly held. The top 20 shareholders own about 64% of the company. So that's very good, knowing that it's very tightly held. Out of that, management and the board roughly holds about 30% of the company. So that as management and the board is very well invested in the business to make sure that it works and shareholders get good return for their money. Just covering out the project where they are located. The first project, the main project that we are focusing initially is Belara project, 100% owned by us, 643 square kilometer area. As you see on the right-hand picture, there are three different colors, the black colors and the brown colors, those granted leases, and another one, two of them to be granted. That's where the projects are. And also we have shown around us two radiuses on the left-hand side picture, is 100 kilometer, 200 kilometer, similar deposits. Particularly on the southern side, we have Woodlawn project, which has been very successful in that part of the world, Eastern Lachlan Belt, hosting massive sulfide deposits. And the shallow target remains, sorry, I'll go to the next slide. Sorry, just coming last one. Yeah, sorry, okay, Danica, thanks, stay on that one. So this is a project on the western side, Bullabulling project, which is very near to the Bullabulling project owned by other Chinese company called Norton, 3 million ounces. And our area surrounds, and in the blue dots that you can see there, surrounds that 3 million ounces owned by Norton. And important thing to note here is that 3 million ounces were proven by Greg and his team when they were working in the past on that deposit. And they believe, as you will see on the right-hand side, seismic reports of that picture, as the fold up goes up, that's where the Bullabulling, current Bullabulling is, and the second fold when it goes up, that's where it's in our tenement. So we hoping that we will have similar kind of gold findings as the Norton had, given the structure, similarity of the structure. Next slide. Just exploration strategy. We will deliver a JORC 2012 info resource over the historic mines at Belara and Native Bay, explore the potential for extension and repetition of massive sulfide mineralization using a triple geophysics technique. 3D geological models will be developed using artificial intelligence assisted computer modeling techniques to prioritize new regional targets and assess other corporate and asset opportunities that have a strategic fit to provide maximum share value to shareholders. So that's pretty much sums up our exploration strategy. I will now hand over to Greg, who will take you into more details, technical details of our program in the next 6 months as to how we will do the program systematically and establish a resource by middle of the year. Up to you, Greg, now.
Thank you, Arvind. Next slide, please, Danica. Okay, I think most of you who've seen the prospectus have seen a version of this this diagram, which is the magnetic image. While we were listing, we did some petrophysical analysis of the rock types around the Belara mine, and basically showed that the massive sulfide mineralization is correlates very strongly with density and electricity conductivity, effectively, and chargeability, and also indirectly with magnetism because of the pyrrhotite and the associated with the mineralization. So what we then decided to do was take that 2D map and see what it looks like in 3D, and to see what sort of depth these targets might be and just where the opportunities might lie outside of the resource areas. What we can also see from that work was that the magnetic data does show where the mineralization is, which I'll show you in a minute, but it's not as high resolution as we would like, whereas things like gravity and electrical geophysics are much more likely to give us a better resolution and allow us to target more accurately. So effectively, we've decided to cover that area with a gravity survey, and the contracts be signed for that, and the work for that will be underway, I think, on Friday. And we've also decided to do a gradient array IP to test the electrical geophysical technique to see how well it works in comparison to the gravity. And we've got some gradient array IP arrays organized, which should start in the next couple of weeks or so. We'll then follow that by starting the resource drilling. We really don't want to have a drill rig around while we're collecting the electrical geophysics, so that's sort of delayed the drilling slightly, and we're expecting to get that underway around about March. We're also very interested in the geology, which I think there's a slide coming up that I'll talk to on that. And to best map that, basically a lot of the rocks come very close to surface or actually outcrop. So high resolution DTM and LiDAR data will help us do that. We also need the high resolution DTM data for later mine studies and things like that. So that will then be used to develop a detailed 3D stratigraphic geology and structural interpretation over the mine areas, which will also help us target. Next slide. Okay, so this image for me is probably one of the most exciting images about the whole project. So you can see on that image, this is the 3D version of that 2D magnetic map, which is given a bit of an idea by using inversion techniques how deep those anomalies might be. And you can see on the black line there where the Belara mine area has been defined by the drilling, and the native B mine area has been defined by the drilling. And you can see that correlates very nicely with the red anomalous areas within the magnetic inversion. What's particularly exciting is that it actually extends much further. So the Belara mine area looks like it extends to the south, plunging possibly to the south. It also shows that the the native B mine area certainly looks like it extends to the south as well. These look like they've got a depth potential of around about 400 to 600 meters. And then from that, that black outline, which is showing the magnetic values that correlate with where the mineralization is sitting, there's another 3.5 kilometers of potential strike that is effectively not being tested even by soil sampling, never mind drilling. So this is where we can see we're going to grow the project. So the mine area at Belara looks like it can grow to the south and down plunge to the south. At native B certainly looks like it can grow to the south. And then we've got another 2 to 3 kilometers of strike to the south to test, which has got no drilling or geochemistry in it. And I'm pretty confident that we're going to find new zones of mineralization very quickly once we start testing these areas. We'll be using the gravity and potentially the electrical geophysics to target these areas more accurately, because obviously with a drill hole, you're getting down to meter scale rather than kilometer scale, which is what the modeling is done at the moment. And hopefully the gravity will allow us to get to the scale where we can actually target very accurately at depth as well as along strike. Next image, or next slide, please. So this is the drill plan, basically, in comparison to the historic drill locations. We're effectively drilling 32 RC holes and 2 diamond holes. The diamond holes are for metallurgy, for around about 5,000 meters. This will allow us to produce an inferred JORC resource, and this should take us about 3 to 4 months to do, which, as Arvind says, will take us to basically around about June, where we're looking at getting a resource out. So I think I'll pass you over to Arvind to finish off. Next slide. No. So this is basically giving you an idea of where the resource drilling is going to be targeting. And some recent work we've done on the drilling has shown that the areas between 0 and 50, 100 and 150, 200 and 250, 300 and 400 meters have not really been tested by drilling. So we're expecting to actually increase the resource based on that. And we've seen in some of the historic holes that some of the later holes have actually hit some of the better mineralization. So we're pretty confident that even the infill drilling should improve what we're looking at. Next slide, please. Okay, I'll pass you back to Arvind to talk about the actual details of the development plan.
Thank you, Greg. Just what Greg said, just in a sequence of as to how we will plan and execute our work month by month. This month alone in February, starting tomorrow, in February, we'll do the ground surveys, geophysics, gravity, and the DTM surveys. And the month after that, straight after when these work finishes, we'll commence the drilling, and we'll start publishing the data or the analysis results that comes from the gravity survey and the geophysics survey. And by the month of April, we'll probably have the first drilling results coming out, and we'll keep the market up to date with information. We'll complete the program of drilling about May, and modeling and estimation by June, and all probability will have the resource announced, JORC 2012 compliant resource by July. And after that, we'll just follow up the drilling from all the work we have done in the first 6 months, geophysics work and other surface survey work to target extensions along the strike and potentially new ones that we identify along the way. Just very exciting 6 months of continuous news flow, and hopefully the resource will be much bigger than announced in the past, and we'll probably build up from there on. Very exciting, this one. Next one. We're a very responsible company in terms of ESG. Our chairman is very big on this. He wants to make sure that we remain environmentally responsible, socially responsible, and we follow all the government rules and regulations and do everything as a good citizen. We'll definitely will be following that very, very diligently. For any context, please contact me or Danica, and the details are on the presentation there on the slide.
Thank you, Arvind. That was sensational, and Greg for the presentation. Very, very interesting. We're going to now open it up to Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to type them into the Q&A feature down the bottom of your screen. We did have a couple that were emailed through, so I'll get to those first. The first one came through from John, and he wants to know, and this is probably a good question for Greg, how will you split your time between the projects? What's your primary focus?
Yeah, okay. So the primary focus is Belara. I think the fact that it's got all the metals that are in high demand at the moment, which I don't see changing because of the electrical revolution, as it were. Most of the work in the first 9 months will be on Belara. In the meantime, we'll be doing the planning, drill planning, to go and get some holes drilled at Bullabulling. Those holes will then inform us of how much work we want to spend on Bullabulling. But at the moment, the main focus is most definitely the New South Wales project areas.
Okay, well, that actually ties in nicely to a question that Sandy emailed through. He said, given the WA border closure, how will you progress the Bullabulling project? Where is the exploration team based?
So in terms of New South Wales, we've been very lucky in that the eastern states doesn't seem to have quite the same issues with availability of personnel and technical crews. So we've been able to sign contracts now for all of the work that we've got planned. So we know that it will be done and when it will start. We've got the personnel, local personnel. One of the advantages of Belara is it is in an area of great infrastructure and an area that has been mined for 100 years or so. So there is good services there. So we're basically leveraging off those services and using all the local technical support that we need. And all of that has been signed off and will be underway very shortly.
Okay, and you did answer this in your presentation, but Zach has said, you said you were pretty confident on exploration finding additional mineralization. Zach has emailed through, what exploration techniques will you utilize to provide confidence to investors that exploration will discover new zones?
Yeah, so I think I did answer it in the presentation.
Yeah.
The gravity for me looks like it could be very, very key, which is why we're starting with that. We will be doing fairly close-paced survey. If that doesn't quite work, then we'll start pushing the electrical geophysics a bit harder, because I'm pretty sure that will work. The magnetic data, as you could see from the presentation, has worked spectacularly. I haven't seen it work as well as this in any other project I've worked on. But it doesn't give you the resolution that would allow you to optimize drill planning effectively, which is why we would like to do gravity should work very well from my experience.
Thank you for that. I'm not sure if you can answer this one, but we got a question sent through around the goal for the planned resource drilling at Belara project and what your sort of aspirations or your targets might be, if you can speak to that, Greg.
Well, clearly no. But given that there was a 2004 resource put out, which was announced by Ironbark, so people could go and find that resource if they like, we're expecting to certainly do as well, if not beat that. We're certainly, with the reviews that we're doing at the moment, we're seeing mineralization in some of the last holes that were drilled that are not in the resource, which will obviously add to that. So I'm confident just by including those holes will increase the resource. Also, those holes are basically look like they've got some of the better mineralization intersected in the project. So I'm pretty comfortable that as we do the infill drilling, we will get more intersections like that, which should then improve the resource as well. We are doing a little bit of drilling outside the resource area. It's not all just within the resource area. And if that comes up, that will also increase the resource. The other thing as well is that back in 2004, the zinc price was probably half what it is now. So we'll be using quite different cutoffs. So the amount of metal that we announce will certainly be much bigger than was announced in 2004, just because of the increase in prices.
Yeah, okay. And I guess it's anyone's, you don't have a crystal ball on zinc prices, but what's your feeling on where they might go?
If I had a crystal ball on that, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'd be there by now. Well, clearly, it's quite interesting that the USGS put zinc on its critical minerals list about a month ago, I think it was, or just before Christmas. I've always thought zinc was a really important metal. It's needed for all of the battery type technologies and cars that people talk about, and has effectively been forgotten a little bit. But it's not an easy metal to find more of. There are not a lot of zinc deposits waiting to come on stream. So Belara offers that opportunity. Because it's so well advanced, we'll certainly have a competitive advantage in terms of getting up and running as quickly as we can. So I think zinc has got as good a future in the near term as copper.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Thank you. We do have a corporate question, so I'll hand over to Arvind on the capital structure. How much of the company do management own? And then I've got another question after that. So.
Yeah, we have 30% between board and the management. It is approximately that between board and the senior management. Yeah.
And we've got another question on the chat saying, with approximately 43 million shares on issue, what percentage of shares are in escrow and for how long?
About 12 million shares would be escrowed for about 2 years, and 3 million shares for about 12 months. And that's basically from the pre-IPO and the founding shares that we did the seed at the very beginning.
Okay, fantastic. So, we've almost out of time. Is there any last comments that you wanted to leave? There's a few more questions here, but if anyone has a question that wasn't answered today, please feel free to email me, danica@investability.com.au, and we'll make sure they get answered. The summary of the last questions that were emailed through around the prospectivity and of Belara especially being your primary focus, and people wanting to hear more news flow. So do you have any teasers that you can provide?
If I can probably answer that, Danica, two things I'd just like to summarise is that not only have we signed all the contracts with our consultants to do the drilling and the gravity surveys, but all the approvals are in place on Belara. So we can start effectively tomorrow to do all of that work, which, as Greg pointed out, will be starting this Friday. People are mobilising to site as we speak. So it's all systems go on our lead project. But as far as the corporate strategy of the company is concerned, our strategy is to grow the company and obviously add value to shareholders. So two ways you can do that: organically and via M&A acquisitions. Organically, we've been through that this morning. We've released our work programs, and I believe that they will be very successful. We aren't a junior exploration company. We're very much an advanced exploration company with a known resource, which we expect to extend by drilling and other acquisitions going forward. On the non-organic growth strategy, we'll commence, as in the use of funds in the prospectus, We've allocated money to review various projects in the Lachlan Fold Belt, and we'll commence that very shortly as well, talking to various neighbours and other mining houses. So we have allocated funds for that, and we'll commence that process very shortly. So it's a two-pronged approach to actually grow the company organically and via M&A or acquisition.
Certainly a very exciting time and lots of news flow coming up, no doubt. So thank you for your time to the Belararox team and also everyone who joined the webinar. A replay will be provided on the company's website in coming days. And as I said, please feel free to email through any other questions that you have. So thanks again, and look forward to keeping you updated of all the progress.
Thank you.